Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Treasure Hunting for Nostalgia. This is Brandon.
And Brad.
Last we left you, you got a pretty good representation of our most nostalgic games from NES through PlayStation 3, and I hope you were able to think back and reminisce with some of those games, and hopefully you've played some of those games. During the last few episodes, you did hear about some of our family life, from our mom to our wives and to our children, and we want to give you more insight to that. But first, I think what we should do is go back to our parents, or what we know of them. We know pretty much everything about our mom, but our dad is still a mystery, and I don't plan on gaining any more knowledge of his existence. So let's go to our mom. She was born in Oklahoma with our grandma, is that correct?
Yeah, she was either born in Oklahoma or she was born in Modesto, one of those.
Yeah, it's still a mystery, I guess. I know she told us stories of being in Modesto, California, and then moving up to Sacramento, where she met our father in high school. I believe he was older than her.
Yeah, by a year, I think, a year or two.
She has 3 brothers that we know of. We There's Uncle Ron, of course, like Brad said, one of the best uncles in the world, the best uncle in the world. And she had 2 brothers who are actually twins, Dan and Sam. I believe all 4 of them, or I'm sorry, Uncle Dan and Sam had one father with the last name of Bailey. Our mom's father, who we don't know, and I don't believe she knows, last name was Huffman. And our Uncle Ron had a different dad as well, his last name Johnson. So it seemed like our grandma liked to get busy back in the day.
Remember when we found that picture of her after she passed? We were looking through old pictures.
Yeah.
And there was an old Polaroid picture I remember finding. Just totally opened my mind to what my grandma was. Gave me a little bit of insight. She was sitting down, kind of posing on a bearskin rug, topless. And I just remember looking at that and was thinking, what the heck is this?
Yeah, we found that in our mom's. It was in her garage.
Her secret stash.
Yeah, and even our mom didn't know it was there. And when we showed her, she was in disbelief.
She's like, no, that's not my mom. I was like, yeah, it is.
It's like looking into a mirror, huh? So it seems to run in our family that we pretty much did not know any of our fathers from our uncles to us. Matt has somewhat of a relationship with his father.
Matt is our younger brother.
Yeah, he has a different father than Brad and I, who was, in and out of our lives when we were younger. So, like I said, our mom came from Modesto or Oklahoma and moved up to Sacramento, met our father, who his parents were from Louisiana. Great cooks. His side of the family cooked Cajun food. The crawdads, tales of shooting squirrels and doves and throwing it all into a stew ran rampant throughout the neighborhood. So our dad, Tony Bartholomew, is one of 7 brothers.
7 or 8, I kind of lost count.
Yeah, there's a lot of the clan, and they're all boys. No daughters from our dad's parents. There was Tony, Uncle Joey, Uncle Mousy, Uncle Bully, or their real names, Stuart and Stephen.
Who are also twins.
Yes. Uncle Russell, Uncle Kenny, who made the news about a decade ago.
Yeah.
He infamously was involved in a drunk driving accident, which unfortunately killed 2 young girls on their way to school. So he's not doing too good right now. And then there's Uncle Dave, who our mom always insisted was the good Bartholomew.
Is there such thing?
Well, the goodest, I guess. The best of the rotten. So they met.
She got caught wind of the Bartholomew scent.
Yeah, like I guess women tend to do. Our grandma swore up and down that there is a Bartholomew charm, and when we speak of our grandma. We do have 2 grandmothers, but when we say grandma, it's always our mom's mom, Grandma Mary, since she was always there for us. when we talk about Grandma Nellie, we'll differentiate Grandma Nellie and Grandma Mary. But Grandma was always her Grandma Mary. So yeah, Grandma Mary always said, "Oh, there's this Bartholomew charm that women just can't resist." And does that seem to be the case for you?
All the time. I'm happily married. I don't have any desire to stray, as I know most men, especially most of the Bartholomews, they tend to take advantage of that charm and spread their seed wherever they want to. But
Even cousins can't resist in some instances.
that's right. It's just all me and Brandon. We want to try to take the best of both sides from the Bartholomews and just focus it on doing good. With our powers. With great power comes great responsibility. So yeah, I focus all my seed into one spouse, one partner. So
Oh, how she feels lucky. I focus all my seed into her.
yes, and sometimes on her.
Oh, right. Our dad, like most of the other Bartholomew clan, had a staple job at the Campbell Soup Factory. It was actually a rumor that our dad had an affair with one of the workers there, one of the female workers in the elevator. I'm not sure how true that is.
I say it's true. You know it is. If not in an elevator, then in a bathroom stall. Yes, we were born, I believe, at Sutter General, South Sac. Lived on 28th Avenue, and pretty much lived with our grandma, our mom, our Uncle Ron.
So we were born December 31st, 1981, and I guess we just want to talk about different stories or tales that we could remember from age 0 and up while living in South Sacramento.
Now, I don't know what kind of Martian mind you have, but I don't remember anything at the age of 0. I you came on here expressing you want to talk about the earliest memories we have, and as a baby I can't remember anything, of course, not until maybe 2 or 3. So living on 28th Avenue, one thing that always puzzled me is we kind of we were in just a normal small house in the ghetto, and for some reason in the backyard we had a chicken coop. And we had roosters and ducks, and I don't know why my grandma and my mom had the ducks and the chickens, but that's always also puzzled me. But we also wanted to just talk a little bit more about our other family members.
Wait, remember the chicken's name that we had, the hen?
Her name was Senorita.
And we had the male, the rooster, his name was Pancho.
His name was Pancho, and I actually do recall the Bartholomews having, in their backyard, they used to hold chicken fights.
And they actually, Uncle Joey, who had some barn animals on his house, lived off of 33rd and 28th, so he was right around the corner. And he had, a nice sized piece of property for being in a urban area, and he had a goat in his backyard. We'll get more into the goat in a little bit, but we had Pancho, Senorita, and Quackers, the duck. And I think Brad is trying to glaze over that we were chicken killers.
Yeah, we kind of killed a chicken. Well, yeah, we did. We killed a chicken. We killed Senorita. Pancho wanted to kill us.
Mom swore he was eyeballing us as what we thought was doing the right thing. He would eyeball us and scratch his talons into the dirt. But all we wanted to do was help Senorita fly.
And so what we did was, I don't know if it's because I later found out that chickens, if you scare them too much, they just die.
They have a heart attack?
They have a heart attack and die. So what we were doing was, we held Senorita on the ground. We were trying to lift her up and teach her how to fly, because she never flew.
Was our mom there watching us?
No, she
Okay.
wasn't. We held her for quite some time, just trying to see how long we could hold her, and then finally...
Did we just hold her down on the ground, or hold her
I think we were bouncing her up and down.
Oh, okay.
So we were bouncing her up and down, kind of corn dogging her to the ground.
If you don't know what corn dogging is, it's when someone preferably is bent over and you're behind them, but they could be standing, but you want them bent over as much as possible.
And then you just take your knee in an upward thrusting motion and just knee them right in the asshole. And if you haven't had this done to you, or if you haven't done it to someone, I recommend getting out and doing it and experiencing it, because even though quite painful, it's quite an experience to go through. and you could finally say, you know what, I've been corn dogged and it sucks. And then if someone says, oh, I don't know what that is, then you get to show
Let me
them what
show
it is.
you.
So what we're doing, we're banging her butt on the ground. I don't remember why. Maybe trying to make her hop like a rabbit. So finally, she stopped struggling. She stopped trying to get away from us because she died. So what we did was we thought, oh, okay, she finally calmed down. So now let's try to throw her up in the air and let her fly. We threw her up in the air and she came just right back down, no, lifeless, motionless. And then
she went to sleep.
She went to sleep forever. She didn't wake up, and we went into our mom's house and we said, hey Mom, I think Senorita died. And she came out there and she was just freaking out and, you killed the chicken? How'd you kill the chicken? And I just told her, we just wanted to teach her how to fly. And Pancho, her husband, her rooster husband, was just looking at us.
I will avenge you.
And he never did.
Yeah, he was too afraid.
He was too afraid.
He didn't want to get corn dogged.
Yeah, so that was the death of Senorita. We actually replaced her. Didn't kill that one. Yeah, that's killed our first animal when we were 2.
So I remember one time, for some reason, our mom had left to probably the grocery store or somewhere, and she left us in the care of Uncle Sam. Being 2 or 3, I could see how a pair of twins could be
overwhelming
to some people.
Yeah, we actually drove him crazy because for some reason our power went out, and it must have been the fuse.
No, I think it was the building get paid.
The building get paid. But the power went out, and my uncle was looking for a flashlight, and we said, oh, we have a flashlight, and we brought out the Operation board game.
See, this I don't remember. I just remember the ending of the story.
So we brought out the Operation board game, and we just, put the little tweezers on the metal part so it made that But of course it was 10 times louder than that. And we were just walking around with that on. Him trying to find the flashlight, trying to pay, find money to pay the bill. My mom was gone. It being, she went to go down the street to use the phone.
And just for those who don't play Operation or never played, if you take the metal, and basically the object of the game is to take out these plastic body parts from the man-made figure, and if you happen to touch your metal tongs against any piece of the metal around the organs, not only will the buzzing sound hit, but the little red nose would light up, which was the makeshift flashlight Brad was walking around with.
Yeah, and you can't have the flashlight without the noise, so he was panicked. He was, I wouldn't say panicked, but stressed that Brandon and I were running around with the Operation board game, trying to use it as a flashlight, making that horrendous noise.
But we were problem solvers as for being so young, if you think about it.
We were being problem solvers, but he didn't see it that way. He just wanted us to stop, and we wouldn't.
What other 3-year-old would say, hey, I do have a flashlight. It's right here.
Not very many.
Yeah.
So what he did is he got so stressed out, and what happened?
I just remember he opened up our room door, and put me on one side and Brad on the other, and he tied our hands to each of the doorknobs so that we were separated, and we were just sitting there for hours with our hands, not hours, but we were sitting there with our hands tied to the doorknobs, not able to move. And he was in the Navy, so he knew how to tie some knots.
He knew how to make a good knot, and Brandon and I couldn't move. We couldn't, I really wasn't freaking out. I was just standing there trying to get my hands untied. But our mom came back and saw this, and she was furious. She chased him around with a flip-flop, hitting him, which would be one of our punishments later on when we were teenagers. To this day, she uses flip-flops to cause bodily harm. So living in South Sacramento was an adventure in itself. We got to go over and spend some time with the Bartholomew clan, our Uncle Joey. We got to go over there, hang out under parental supervision, which wasn't as fun, of course. But then we kind of snuck away outside. We broke our mother's field of vision, wandered into a kind of a crazy situation with our Uncle Joey. Didn't quite understand it at first, but
And wouldn't understand it for years to come.
yeah, it involved a goat, and you seem to remember more about this story, so I'll go and let you talk about it.
Yeah, I just remember, walking. He had a pretty big field. It was, he had a chicken coop as well. He had a rabbit, and he had a goat. And I believe we just wanted to see the goat. We were like,
I always wanted to try to milk the goat because I always wanted to see what it was like, but it was a female goat.
yes, and that plays heavily into the story. So we're walking, sneaking past our mom, crawling through the bushes, get around back to we get past the chicken coop, and then all of a sudden we start hearing the goat. And it was just buying, and we're getting closer. So when we're getting there, we're getting closer. We also see Uncle Joey kind of behind the goat, and we're getting closer. And I guess you could say, we thought maybe he was massaging it with his fingers, but he was doing something else with it. And I remember right when we saw what he was doing, our mom came up behind and she shrieked and was terrified. And all Uncle Joey could do was turn around, look at us, and say, "She likes when I do this." And I guess, come to find out, he was fingering the goat.
Yeah, that was quite typical setup for the Bartholomew clan. They like to party hard. They like to finger goats. They like to sleep with each other's wives, sleep with each other's daughter-in-laws,
Cousins.
cousins. Quite a rowdy bunch if you think about it. Good old motley crew there. But I remember one time we were about in 6th grade. Our Uncle Joey sent his wife Barbara. He was married, stayed married until the day death parted them. She was a trooper for hanging in there, because if I saw my wife jacking off a goat, uh, I'd probably, I don't know if I'd stay with her or not, because, well, I probably would, but it would involve some counseling sessions.
And their counseling came from drugs.
So he sent her out for a cigarette run at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I just have to tell you folks right there, if your significant other sends you out for a cigarette run at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's something wrong there. You might not want to go because something's about to go down. So his son, Jojo, was out on a hunting trip, excuse me. Jojo's girlfriend, Sissy, also lived with them. Uncle Joey's just, "Hey, Barbara, you want to go get me some cigarettes?" So, yeah, okay. She, being the trooper that she is, goes out and gets him some cigarettes. Comes back later, and the door is barricaded. The door is locked.
The front door to the house?
The front door to the house is locked. Not only is it locked, but it's barricaded, because she tries to open it, but there's a couch pushed up against the door. And so, she, not a small woman by any means, climbs in the window, and I don't know if she walked in on them or what happened, but Uncle Joey is just pounding the shit out of Sissy.
Like he's hitting her?
Pounding the shit out of Sissy with his cock.
Oh.
So they all go to bed. Must be very awkward in the house. So what does she do? What does Sissy do? She says, "Oh no, Joey was raping me." And I don't know if anyone bought that, but that's just the kind of stuff they got into. And
of course, charges were never pressed.
Charges were not pressed because she was probably lying. But I'm not sure if JoJo ever found out. But that's Uncle Joey for you, getting tail wherever he could.
And I know we glanced on Uncle Joey giving us some cash when he was going to go visit the jail, and that was because he sold drugs out of his house. And I remember I found it odd that strange people would come in and out of the house looking especially crazy. while we were watching movies and thought nothing of it. But now thinking back, that was actually kind of a bad place to be.
It was a bad place to be.
It was fun, but it was just not the place to be.
So, growing up in Sacramento, South Sacramento, we actually were there until we were 5 or 6. We did Mom moved to Norwood before or after Matthew was born?
Well, at first, remember the reason why we had to move out of the house with Grandma is because the person who was renting Grandma the house sold the house and new people had to move in. So that caused us to get displaced from our house on 28th. And I don't know why Mom didn't move in with Grandma, because Grandma found an apartment off of, what street is that? 43rd on Franklin, or Martin Luther King, kind of by Campbell Soup. So our Grandma found an apartment there, which she lived most of the rest of her days, but our mom didn't move in with her. So what we had to do in lieu of finding a house, we actually stayed with one of her friends, Carol, and they had 2 sons as well. And our mom said it was only for a week or 2, but it felt like a lifetime living there.
Yeah, it felt like at least 3 or 4 months.
And the only thing I could really remember is they always liked the house completely dark. From there, we moved up to Norwood, and I'm not sure if Matt is born at this time or not.
I don't think he was.
Yeah, I don't think he was. She was dating Richard, Matt's dad, Richard Chavez at the time, who was pretty cool. I remember he did like to drink a lot.
So, when we moved to North Sacramento, our little brother was born, Matthew, August 3rd, 1987.
Or 88.
One of those. And, having a new baby in the household was exciting at first, but then it just sucked because he got all the attention. Now how I feel, he's my little brother. I love him a lot. At the time, I just didn't get it. I just felt annoyed by him. He would crawl into our room and I'd kick him out. And I said, "Mom, come get your baby." and I'd drag him out by his feet. And it was just so, I guess, irritating because he got all of Mama's attention and we were just 6. So
I think this is where Mom was like, we have to get these boys something to keep them busy so that they don't go crazy and pull a good son on my new baby. So we shared this 2-room apartment. Brad and I had our own room, and Mom had her room with Matt. They slept in the same bed, except when Richard came over.
Yeah, and then Matt just slept in the middle.
So I remember it wasn't even Christmas. It was, I believe, a day in June. We were in kindergarten at Del Paso Heights Elementary School, and I remember going over to our grandma's house in South Sacramento, her little apartment, 1-bedroom apartment that we would all cram into. And was it wrapped?
No,
it wasn't wrapped. And all of a sudden they show us the Nintendo Entertainment System, new in the box. It came with Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, I believe, with the
Zapper,
the NES Zapper, and we were so excited. I believe she bought us Hogan's Alley and Legend of Zelda to go with it.
Yeah, we didn't even know what The Legend of Zelda was at the time. We just wanted to play Mario. Probably a couple months prior is when we were introduced to the Nintendo by Juan and Tony, the 2 twins, and we've been begging for it ever since. We finally got it, and we cracked it open, played Mario Brothers, just had complete fun with it. Zelda didn't even come into the picture until my mom started playing it, and she didn't even know how to get the sword. She was just walking around on the opening sequence. You have to go in a little cave to get the sword. We told her, "Hey, try to go in there." She just kept bypassing the cave,
Dying from the Octoroks.
dying from the enemies, and didn't she? So she got frustrated with it, and of course we picked it up and started playing with it and fell in love with it. So Matt's born. Brandon and I just trying to get along with him.
We thought obviously Matt was a favorite since he got all the attention. Little did we know, our mom loved us all each and individually the same, except when, like 6 years ago, Mom just came out and said, "Yep, Brad's my favorite."
Yeah, I still think she likes Matt more.
Now third on the list, I guess. No, it's probably Matt, Mia, Brad, Jordan, Sam, Logan,
Alexis,
Jose,
Uncle Ron,
Ariel, her supervisor from work, and then me.
That's her favorite list. I think I'm going to make that list, laminate it, and hang it on her cubicle at work. Her and I work together. After my previous job where I was working in marketing, that company went under. I didn't really have. I was unemployed for 6 months. Applied to every job out there. Could not even get a job. So I finally said, "Hey, Mom, are there any openings at your work?" She said, "Well, I'll check." I met the supervisor. I met the manager. Got a job there. So we work together in the same building. So it's kind of weird because I have to call her Jenny, and it took a long time to get used to that. But it's a good job, good stable job.
Yeah, you should make that list, put it on our cubicle, take a picture of it, and I'll upload it to our Facebook page.
Okay. So
why don't we talk about Del Paso Elementary School?
Okay.
Because we moved right off of Norwood. There's a huge apartment complex. One side is a Hmong complex where there's a bunch of Hmongs that live there, and then the other side is where I guess all the other races live. White, black, Mexican. Now it's mainly Russian, I believe. The Russians have invaded it, but we started school at Del Paso Heights Elementary School. I was in Miss Gladen's class and Brad was in Miss Jackson's class.
So I think that's the first moment of separation anxiety I had with Brandon. Because I remember they put us in 2 different classrooms, and I just wanted to go over there and be in his classroom, and they wouldn't let us. So we talked to the teacher, and they let us actually meet in the hallway a little bit. And I remember the first day of school, we actually were going to go to lunch, and I saw him on the other side of the lunchroom, and we went up and went to the front of the line together because it just stressed me out not having your twin there.
Yeah, I remember first day of class, I saw this. I was looking through a book and I saw like a snake picture, and I ran it over to Brad's classroom and said, "Look at this snake!" And the teacher, of course, had to walk me back to my classroom.
I know, it's like they were frowning upon you running in there showing me the snake picture, and we thought, what's wrong with this? We do this all the time. But I remember we had this guy named John in my classroom.
John Hammock.
Yeah, and he used to play this game where he would say, "Hey, look under the table," and then you look under the table, and he'd just pull his wiener out.
So you're just looking at little kids' wieners all the time. You look at John's, you look at Greg's.
It's just how I roll.
I guess. Karen needs to watch out.
Yeah, so, and he would expose himself, and I'm like, dude, what the heck? And he probably did this 2 or 3 times, and me expecting a different result every time. Hey, look under the desk. And I look, and it's his wiener again. I'm like, come on. And so the third time... He says, "Hey, look under the desk." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to look under the desk." He's like, "I got a toy under there." And you know what? He did have a toy under there.
He was shaking it vigorously.
He definitely had a toy under there, but it was not the toy I was expecting. And the 4th time, he didn't get me after that. I just said no. But
fool me 3 times.
Shame on you. But being at that school, we got in a lot of fights. People would just want to fight everybody all the time.
Before we get into that, I was abused in school by Miss Gladen.
Oh, come on.
What?
Is this when, what'd she do? She clawed you or something?
No, I got up to wash my hands because we were playing with glue, and my hands were so messy. And I got up and washed my hands, and then she pulled me by the ear and said, "You raise your hand to get up and wash your hand." I came home and told Mom. She's like, "Yeah, right. She didn't do that to you. You just want attention." And then the next day, I can't remember what we were doing, but she has pinched me in my tricep hecka hard. And I was like, what was that for? And I don't remember what I did. I also was abused by a kid named Michael. Remember Michael Sires? I was walking by and he just punched me in the stomach for no reason. I remember I think I might have blacked out on him because that was the first and last time he ever showed aggression towards us because he lived in the same complex we did. And after that, he was pretty much our bitch. We told him, crawl into the dumpster and get our Nintendo magazine that we threw away.
No, this is what happened. Michael Cyrus, he really, after that, started like following us around like a little pet because we always got the new Nintendo games. He looked up to us. He wanted to be our friend, and we pretty much played him as a fool because he was kind of an outsider. It was me and Brandon against him, and he always wanted to find stuff that he could show us and be like, "Oh, very good, Michael. Oh, that's really cool, Michael." Well, one time he was a dumpster diver. He would dump into the dumpsters and find stuff. We we had actually thrown away a part of a video game magazine.
It was just a page or something.
He found a little square picture of the arcade game Final Fight, and it said Final Fight coming to Super Nintendo. And so he found it in a dumpster, came running up the stairs. We were on the upper level of the apartment. Running up the stairs, knocked on the door. "Hey guys, look what I found. Final Fight's coming to Super Nintendo." And we were just standing there. "How did you get that?"
"Give me that."
"That is ours." We took it from him. The hope just left his eyes, and he just felt so sad. And we were just like, "Look at this kid trying to bring us our old Nintendo magazine from the trash." And, we just kind of shunned him. His parents actually, they bought him an Atari.
Oh, I remember that.
He got an Atari for Christmas and invited us over to play it. We looked at the controller, just one joystick and one. Yeah, so he got the Atari, invited us over to play it, and we were just like looking at it. What is this? So you control this box and just move around, and you pick up something else that's a box, but it's supposed to be a key? We're going home. And he pleaded for us to stay. He wanted us to play the Atari with him, and we looked at him, we turned away and said, "Fare thee well."
I'm sure we didn't say that. I'm sure we just left.
That's how I remember it.
There used to be this field by the apartment complex we'd walk to and walk into and play around. And there was this kid, I don't know what his deal was. Were you making fun of him at all? Or why did he start chasing you?
Yeah, I think we made fun of him. We called him some name. I can't remember.
But I just remember seeing this kid, his name was Aki. Was that his name, Aki?
Aki.
That was a strange name, also Samoan. He was chasing Brad with a stick. And I ran home. I ran home because I didn't know there was a kid with a stick. I wasn't going to get hit with a stick. Say, "Mom, Aki's chasing Brad with a stick." And did you run home, or were you just running around in the field?
No, I think I ran home.
And my mom was like, no. And then she looked out the window and saw it, and I think that kind of scared Aki away. But something was wrong with that guy. We had another encounter later on where my mom and I were driving through at some point in time they put up security fence. And we were driving through the security fence, and Aki was sitting there, and he reached through the window, because I had my window down. He reached through and tried to choke me as we drove through. And I know you had another altercation with him as well in the back of the apartment.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because we were white or if he just did that to everybody. But in the back of our apartment complex behind our building, I was walking, minding my own business, and he came up and just put his hand on my throat. He didn't really squeeze it, but he just put his hand on my throat, and I'm like, what the heck's this guy doing? So obviously he was mentally retarded. He didn't know how to talk well. He talked like he didn't have no tongue.
I think he was deaf.
Oh. That makes okay, I think he was deaf. So, yeah, that's what it was.
He wasn't retarded, he was just deaf.
For all you deaf people out there listening to the podcast, I apologize.
Alright, so back to Del Paso. So,
Back to Deaf Aki.
You're gonna offend the deaf people. So, back to Del Paso. We ended up graduating kindergarten there, amongst all the fighting, but the fighting was pretty much controlled in the small area. They kept the kindergartners away from the 1st through 6th graders. So we got to 1st grade. First grade came along because we were pulled pretty early off into the school year. One day before school we were on the big boy playground, just playing, and all of a sudden I guess we were just horse playing with some kids.
Yeah.
Or did they really want to cause us harm?
I don't remember seeing any anger or hatred in their eyes.
Yeah, I remember they were laughing. Our mom was there. Oh, we had gotten windbreakers. That was the coolest thing. We had these windbreaker jackets, and I remember standing on top of the slide of the big boy playground when the wind blowing, and my jacket flapping in the wind, and I thought I was so bad. I was I don't know if I had red or blue, because I remember one of us had red, one had blue.
Yeah, you brought it back to 80s. So you just said it was bad.
It was. I just felt. It was so good. The wind was blowing through. It was like, you could hear it, and I looked down at everyone, and they were like, "Oh, look at his windbreaker." We get down from the slide, and we're horse playing. Our mom's there. I guess she had a feeling something was going down or whatever, but I just remember, was it you that got drop kicked?
I thought you got drop kicked in the back.
Yeah, so I remember just running around. All of a sudden, do you remember who did it?
Jamal?
Was it Carlton's brother?
Jamal, whatever his name was.
Yeah, so I guess, and he was big. He comes into the flying drop kick in my back, and I go flying. My mom's sitting there watching it, and I remember her saying, "We are not gonna take this," and just took us out, left the school. We really didn't know what was going on.
She pulled us out of the school, went over to Main Avenue Elementary School, got an interdistrict transfer.
Right on the outskirts of Rio Linda.
Had some good times there.
Yeah, Main Avenue is a real fun school.
The main thing I could mention there is we used to play this game in 4th grade where Brandon and I and a bunch of the other kids would go run around and slap girls on the butt.
And some of the kids actually took it a step further and pinched him on the butt. But I never felt that daring.
There were some girls who didn't want to play, like, one of the girls that I was interested in, I can't remember which one. She said, "I don't want to play," and I said, "Why not? You need to get up and play this game."
Was it
because
Janelle?
I think it was Marisol. And I was like, "Why not? You need to get up and play this game. It's a fun game."
She didn't want to be molested on the playground.
Well, yeah, she didn't want to, but I just wanted to slap her on the butt. I was just a kid. I didn't think anything of it.
I don't remember getting any sexual pleasure from it either.
Oh, of course not. It was just, little kid games there. Why not? So the yard duty teacher got involved and said, you boys need to stop playing this game. And, this went on for weeks. So finally, they had enough of it. You boys need to stop playing this game. So I said, okay, I'm going to go over and play basketball with my friends. And Brandon wanted to keep playing the game. So he kept playing it. And after the lunch the bell rang, the recess bell rang, we lined up in our lines. And the girls said, he was still playing the game, and pointed to me. And I said, no, I stopped and went and played basketball, right? And I asked my friends, right? And we were twins. You couldn't tell us apart. So they said, yeah, we were playing basketball with one of them, but I'm not sure which one. And Brandon's like, I was the one playing basketball.
No, what happened was this girl, Brandy, she didn't want to play, so I think she was holding on to the bar, one of the bars, saying, I want to stay here. And I was pulling her arm, saying, yes, you do.
Oh, so you were being the little rapist yourself, too.
I guess. But I was pulling her, I said, yes, you. So
Dr. Fuller, the principal, said, "You stop that." I said, "Okay." And at that point, I was like, "All right, maybe this isn't for me." So at the end of the recess, he says, "Who was pulling on her?" And I pointed to Brad. And then Brad was like, "No, I was playing basketball." And he pointed to me. And so, we're sitting there pointing at each other, and the doctor or the principal couldn't tell which one was doing it, so he didn't really do anything. And I think that was the first time we actually realized that us being twins looking so similar, we could use it to our benefit. It opened a whole new world to us.
Yeah, so, back to first grade, we leave Del Paso, we get put into Main Avenue, we go over there, and my first grade teacher was Miss Harshbarger. Yours was Miss Salad? No, you had Saladin?
Saladin.
Yeah, and he had Miss Saladin, who had a pet hamster.
So the hamster's name was Shadow. At the end of the school year, you actually got to volunteer and put your name in a bucket if you wanted to keep Shadow over summer vacation. And I wanted to keep the hamster. I've never had a pet before. And so I begged my mom, "Please let me get the hamster for summer vacation. I want to keep this hamster. I want to nurture it." I just felt so responsible, so grown up that I actually got to take care of this pet.
We did have a pet before, Boy George. Our mom had a dog named Boy George. It was a girl.
Yeah.
And they named it Boy George, which confused the heck out of us because we were like, how are you going to name a girl dog Boy George? And then later on we found out how and why. But I remember we had this, back on 20th Avenue, we had this fuse box on the side of the house, and I always wanted to touch it, but our uncles were always there to stop it, saying, "No, you don't touch that, you'll get electrocuted." So I found an opportunity to get to the fuse box without anyone looking. So I walk over, open the box, I touch something, and it just gives me the hugest jolt in the world. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if my hair wasn't standing on end. I probably was shaking uncontrollably.
Yeah, these aren't the fuse boxes you see now where they're all, safe and they have safety measures on them. This was an old rigged up box. Probably 5 different neighbors are using electricity from it. So it probably wasn't the safest thing for you to touch.
Live wires everywhere. I probably saw a spark and said, "Hey, what does this do?" So of course, I get shocked, and I run to the front where everyone's at, and my mom asks me, "What happened? Why are you crying? Why are you shaking so bad?"
And you didn't want to get in trouble saying, "I touched the fuse box."
Nope, I was not going to get in trouble for saying that. So I said the most obvious thing that came to my mind what happened, and that was Boy George hit me with a water balloon.
Boy George the dog filled up a water balloon, tied it in a knot, and hit you with it.
That was my only response I could think of.
Back to Shadow the hamster. I wanted to take Shadow home. I wanted to, I love this hamster. I played with him in class. It warmed my heart to have this hamster. So there were 2 people who got to put their name in the bucket that got permission, which was me and another girl named Alicia. And so the teacher was, swirling the bucket around.
Was that Alicia Bentley?
It was.
Oh, that was my second grade crush.
Yeah. I remember we used to fight over her.
Yeah.
Brandon and I had the same interest in girls in school and have different crushes, and it was really weird. We'd always end up liking the same girl, and we'd always used to get, well, I guess we'll just see which one she chooses. And then it crossed my mind, maybe she could have us both. But the teacher's doing the raffle with only 2 pieces of paper. She pulls out my name. I was so excited. I got to take the pet home, took the hamster home. Just became an object of abuse by my uncle.
Really?
Of course, Uncle Ron, he smoked. He used to smoke weed. Probably still does. But Uncle Ron came over. He would bring out his joint, take a hit, and blow smoke into the hamster's cage. And that hamster would be running crazy around, everywhere. I don't think it liked the smoke. So, a few days pass. We're taking care of the hamster. I go to check on him, and his eyeball is popped out of its socket. And I was just so freaked out. I had the teacher's phone number. She gave it to me in case something happened to the hamster. And I was just so devastated that on my watch, the eyeballs popped out of the hamster's head. I don't know why and I don't know how, but I always blame my uncle, thinking it was the marijuana that did it. But I remember the teacher came and she said she was going to take the hamster to the vet. I've grown up now. I could think of she either A, didn't want to take it back because it probably smelled like weed, or B, she just took it and got it euthanized.
I have a different opinion on that. What I think is C. You know, hamsters' eyes pop out all the time.
Yeah.
Even Naj's pet hamster its eye popped out when Willie was playing Elmira to it. He was squeezing it, and its eye popped out. I told him that it was going to go blind if he did that again, and Naja said, "You are never touching my hamster ever again." So, its eye popped out, went back in. What I think happened to Shadow, its eye popped out somehow, and so she was like, Miss Saladin came and said, "I think I'm just going to take this hamster home and not let them babysit it anymore."
Yeah, I think she just took it home and kept it because we had hamsters later on in life too. Their eyeballs would pop out and we'd just push them back in.
Like, poop. But yeah, she I don't know if it was a ruse or what have you, but she told us that she took it to the vet and it had a tumor and they had to kill it.
I remember that now. I was like, how can a hamster get a tumor? But, you know, right now I don't believe that. So, she probably took it home. She's like, why does my hamster smell like weed? And pushed the eyeball back in herself and called it a day.
Yeah.
What else can you think of about elementary?
I remember our mom was, of course, hanging around at school from time to time, like she does, and she witnessed this boy named Henry Haynes. He was really into dinosaurs. I remember in first grade, he just loved him some dinosaurs, and he, I guess, pretended to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex and was chasing this kid Ian Greco, who would, all throughout elementary, would cling to me as he said I was his best friend. It was never reciprocal.
All the teachers used to pick on Ian too. He was one of those kids that you just, now looking back, felt sorry for because
he didn't celebrate birthdays
or any other holiday.
He was Jehovah's Witness.
And even the teachers, they would, you know, he'd be in the back of the classroom picking his nose, and the teacher in sixth grade, mind you, he's sixth grade, gonna start junior high soon. Very important to make a good presentation of yourself. Mr. Possessi, the teacher, just shouts back, "What's wrong, Ian? You missed breakfast today or something? Get your finger out of that nose."
Yeah, and mind you, Brad and I were in separate classes throughout all of elementary, so Mr. Ian was in every single one of my classes. So even Brad heard this from being on the schoolyard, just everyone talking about it. He was just all like, even the same teacher, we had to build gingerbread houses, Mr. Possessi, and so I built this elaborate one. Our mom helped, and it was like a gingerbread town, and
gingerbread mansion.
Yeah, and it was just huge, and it had the royal icing. You could eat it. So he saw Ian eating it, and so he said, "Brandon, are you gonna take this home and eat it?" I said, "No." He walks over and gets Windex and sprays it all over the gingerbread town. And then he turns to Ian and says, "If you eat that, you'll get sick and die." You have to feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and dial it back and talk more about our first taste of the hunt, the collecting bug that we have today. And I believe that stems from the great flea market in northern Sacramento at the 49er Drive-In. Each weekend, the Drive-In movie theater would hold these flea markets Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where people would just, come and sell their things. And I remember her mom just taking us there, and we would just search for anything we could to anything remotely interesting. And I remember I saw it was X Factor number 5. It was the first appearance of Apocalypse. I said, "Mom, we have to get this. It's the first appearance of Apocalypse. It's going to be worth so much money one day." And she said, $4 for a comic book? Nope.
Yeah, that was so, disappointing. We fell in love with that place. I think that's when, like Brandon said, where we fell in love with flea markets. That's when I first remembering using, or actually thinking of the term. I didn't use the term until Brandon and I went later on, but I used to be on the search for gray gold, which would be those gray NES carts, the gray Super Nintendo carts. Brandon and I could spot a gray cartridge probably from about 50 meters away. We have eagle sight when it comes to that. We'll be looking through the flea markets, just scanning all the booths, all the junk piles, and even if 3/4 of it's covered up by an old shirt, we could spot it out and say, "Oh, let's go see what that game is."
Just this past instance, a few months back, we went up to Denio's and saw Wheel of Fortune. What had a $4 price tag. Not interested in that game, but they had Knight Rider, which we've never seen for Nintendo. Knight Rider we never saw before. Of all our gaming experience, never knew it existed. So I say, okay, let me think. I say, how much for Wheel of Fortune? He says, $4. The price tag $4. I said, He said, what about Knight Rider? He said, $5. I said, will you take 3 for it? And he says no. How are you going to keep a game on the table you've probably had for the past 10 months and not take $3 for the game?
It's very, very ludicrous, I think. And the thing that I think the best actual trickery that I was able to use is we went to the Folsom auction. There's this guy there who has Elvis heads. They actually move
And sing.
and sing, and it's the freakiest thing you ever seen.
And he has a huge shop from Nintendo through PlayStation.
Go give him a visit. He's in one of the barns. You'll know it's his shop when you see the mannequin Elvis head winking at you.
And his prices are on point. He knows what the games are worth. He prints out a guide, so it's real hard to get a deal on this guy.
So we were trying to finish our Dragon Warrior collection for Nintendo. Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 are more common. Dragon Warrior 3 and 4 really more rare. So I see Dragon Warrior 3. He's got it listed at $35. So I kind of looked at the guy, gauged his desperateness. He was looking pretty desperate that day. Probably didn't make a lot of sales. So I wanted to take advantage of that. So I went and told Brandon my plan. What I was going to do was I was going to ask him how much for the game and say, okay, Brandon, pay the man. We only had $20 in our pocket, so of course we had more. I had to take more money out of the wallet. So this is what happened. I went up. I told the guy, how much for Dragon Warrior 3? He goes, $35. I said, okay, Brandon, pay the man. So Brandon pulls out the wallet. We took all the cash out of it except for $20, and Brandon goes, oh, I've only got $20. I said, oh, you've only got $20? We were supposed to get this for our kid's birthday. Would you take 20 for it? I mean, it's $15 off. $20. Would you do that for us? We got that game for $20, worth more than that. And that's just the kind of stuff that we like to look for. Is we like to go. We know what game's worth. We're not going to go and resell them on eBay. We just want to get the best price that we can for it. End up getting Dragon Quest 4 or Dragon Warrior 4 a few months later on eBay and collected and finished that collection out.
And so whenever, we want to go to Denio's or go to Folsom, we tell our wives, alright, we're going to go to Denio's. I'm going to go pick Brad up. And my wife Jamila says, you're not going treasure hunting, are you? I say, treasure hunting? She's like, don't bring back any junk. I never bring back any junk because it stays over at Brad's house. No, he has a Nintendo collection, so he'll keep the Nintendos over there, the Nintendo games. But in rare instances, we'll find Dragon Ball Z cards by Square Entertainment made from 2000 to 2005. That's the big card collection we have. We've got over 20,000 cards. We only need about 191 to complete our set, to complete everything. So whenever we get a chance, we look for Dragon Ball cards, and if we do find some cards that are worth a ton of money that we already have that we could find for cheap, of course we're going to turn them around and sell them. But Dragon Ball cards are really hard to come by. Brad found a huge score of Saiyan Saga one set from this Asian dude.
Yeah, just about plowed my wife over just to go get these cards. We're, just a typical day at Denio's, doing some treasure hunting. I have my middle son with me, Sam, who is fire, looking for some gray gold, looking for something. Never expect to find Dragon Ball cards. I look on this guy's booth, and I see just a little white border of the card, and I don't know how, but I had a sixth sense where I said, that's a box of Dragon Ball cards. My wife is in the middle, in between the Dragon Ball cards and myself. Let me set this up for you guys. I'm sitting there. There could be any type of card in there. There could be cards worth anywhere from $100 to $300. There could be cards that we don't have yet, and there's a whole long shoebox full of them, all lined up perfectly. From my field of vision, I see the cards.
You get that look.
I get that look. I don't see my wife standing in front of me. It's like I'm seeing right through her, and I go, oh, those are Dragon Ball cards, and I just run for them like someone else at Denio's is going to beat me to them. Like someone else is looking for those cards. You know they're not. There's only a handful of people here in Sacramento who even knows what those are. And for me to think that someone else is going to go and get those cards before I do, it just made me want to... My mouth is watering just thinking about it. Just thinking of that score of Dragon Ball cards. I jump for them. Don't see my wife. I shove her into the table next to me and grab them, and I just... They were right there. There was a whole new box of Dragon Ball cards. The complete first set with a bunch of promotion cards, which are rare. And I asked the guy, how much are these? And he's looking at my wife like, is she okay? Do you know who this lady is? And he's kind of taken back by it. And he said, $10. And I said, will you do 5? He said, okay, I'll do 5. So I got him for $5. And I was sitting there. I closed the box up, have it in my hand, with complete joy in my heart. And there my wife is still trying to get up from the table I pushed her into. Probably had a few forks and knives on it that jabbed into her. And I said, oh, did you trip? And, of course she was upset. But after that we went to celebrate my find with some sushi. But finding things like that at the auction, if you ever see us there and you see us running, tripping over people, it's because we found something good that we're really interested in.
Yeah, and please don't take the cards before we could get them.
Don't take those fucking cards. So this is going to be the ending of our 3rd episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We've went over many things such as goat fingering, cousin raping, gray gold. So go ahead and continue listening. If next week we're going to try to bring our brother in. He's in town. He really wants to get on this. He really enjoyed the first podcast. We gave him a taste of the second one, which hasn't been released yet. We will be releasing it here in the next day or so. We'll go in and see you guys next time. Anything you want to say?
Nope, just happy hunting.
All right. See you later.